Hi, I am Kevin Stewart, and I provide leadership for the Hospitality Center, the Miracle on Main Street. As a way of introduction, um, I live in Wauwatosa. My wife Melanie and I have lived there since late '99. We relocated from Northeast Ohio, and previous position brought us to Wisconsin. So I worked for a national nonprofit in Milwaukee and had oversight responsibilities for programs across the United States. That was the career move. That was the job. That's why we came here.
Okay.
Well, things changed for me. And that was the career. That's why we came. I traveled extensively, so I spent a lot of time in airports over a year with this something in my stomach about it's time for me to go. And I didn't understand. So God and I talked for almost a year figuratively.
Yep.
Well, sometimes figuratively. The conversation went, I don't understand. I don't get this.
Yep.
I came to Wisconsin for this. It's time for you to go. Then we started having a conversation. I said, I don't think you understand. Because best case scenario, it will mean a 50% reduction in my income. Do you get that, God? Then the conversation went to, I say I'll provide. I'll provide. I responded, in the lifestyle I'm accustomed to? I said, not necessarily, but I will provide. And God has provided. We continue to make the mortgage. We're glad we bought the Harleys when I had the higher income, but we got the bikes. But one day, I found myself with a collar around my neck. And I walked in and I said, it's time. It's just time. Not sure where I would be going. So I left the national nonprofit with all the resources that we had there. Went to a transitional housing facility at 26th and Capitol. I was the number 2 there. Then I did some consulting work within the Episcopal Diocese of Milwaukee, which covers the southern third of the state. So I was assigned to Trinity Episcopal Church in Tosa for a while. And then I found myself in the bishop's office, the CEO's office one day. I want you to go to Racine. What do you want me to do? I want you to develop urban ministry. Okay. Any financial resources? No. Staffing? Not so much. Volunteers? Not so much. What is it you want me to do? Use your nonprofit background and develop urban ministry at the corner of 7th and Main. That was my assignment. So, I put the collar on for the uniform on for identification purposes. I went to St. Luke's at the corner of 7th and Main. I immediately went across the street, introduced myself to people. I'm Kevin. I'm new over there. We want to do something. We don't know what. Help us figure this out. Let's work this together. Because coming into Racine, I thought one of 2 things were going to happen. There was going to be a gap in service that we would be able to address, or there would be something already in place that we could help strengthen. So otherwise stated, I conducted an informal community needs assessment. And that's different than coming into town with a program, predetermined need, and here it is, use it or lose it. You may not need it. You may not want it. So what's wanted? So met people walked the streets, to street corners, bus stops, just met people and listened to their stories, with the focus on our sisters and brothers who experience homelessness. And I learned, and I expected to hear, that in any city, a lot of people go to the library during the day. Where do you go? To the library. I heard many go to Gateway, the student union. But I'm almost 59, and being 59 at Gateway, the student union, is that really the best place to hang? I heard that if, for those fortunate to have a bus pass, they can get to St. Mary's on Spring Street. go to a patient waiting room, wait for the doctor, but there's free coffee. So where do people go to form a sense of, to belong to a community, for socialization, a place to belong? Then I did what I called cold sales calls. I just picked up the phone. I knocked on doors. My name is, tell me about your community. Tell me what the needs are. And I heard similar stories of there's not a central gathering place for our sisters and brothers experiencing homelessness. I said, well, we're the church. And the church can do a whole lot. But at minimum, we can be a friend and we can feed people. We can do those things. So, had no capitalization. Talked to other folks, and some people said, let's do this. We had space. We had fellowship hall. We were handicap accessible. We had a kitchen. We had restrooms. So we used the church coffee hour model, and that was our start. Let's go get some donuts. Let's get some paper plates. Let's get some coffee, and let's be a friend. And we opened our doors. May of 2011. Week 1, we served an average of 17 people a week. It didn't take us long before we became Racine's largest meal program. When we were running full tilt this winter, we were serving an average of 1,000 meals a week. And so growth came fast. We thought that we were going to serve primarily, if not exclusively, our sisters and brothers experiencing homelessness. But then we got to meet people and know people. And people asked us some questions. Are you going to rifle through our stuff, go through our bags? No. Are you going to make us go to church before you feed us? No. What's the catch here? Well, we offer hospitality without agenda, radical hospitality. It doesn't mean that there aren't expectations. Because we heard over and over, we want a safe place to go. We want sanctuary. This has got to be a safe place. So the hospitality center is a safe place, and all who come there claim it as their own, and we all make it a safe place to be. So we grew fast. We got to know people. They said, well, I'm not homeless, but I'm almost homeless, near homeless. My unemployment, like we were talking about, my unemployment's about to run out. I lost my job. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm near homeless. And then we heard stories of individuals living with various forms of mental illness, a broad umbrella, from schizophrenia to discouragement. It's unbelievable. The number of people who struggle and live with various forms of mental illness. But almost to a person, we heard, well, if I'm homeless, I'm near homeless, I'm not homeless. I've got an apartment. But to a person, we heard more often than not, I'm alone, and I'm lonely. And I don't want to be alone or lonely. So, we serve all who are alone, lonely, homeless, near homeless, or mentally ill. We have grown organically. We go back to we grow together. We develop the hospitality center together. It all comes out of stories. Beginning on the streets, we have nowhere to go. We would like somewhere to go. Or the community, a safe place. And so it's the 7th and Main is where people come. It's where the cool kids hang out. And Patrick came in 2011, a couple months after we opened. Patrick had the American dream. He had the American dream. The picket fence, the 2.5 children, but Patrick lost it all. God rest his soul. His body was found in a public park here in Racine in 2011. But before Patrick died, he was asked, as someone who experiences homelessness, what are the 3 things but he always wants to have on his person at all times a good book. Why? Because he spends so much time alone. A good book. A bottle of water. Why? I'm from Ohio. They're called water fountains in Ohio. Bubblers here. Said he has a hard time finding a bubbler. Where's there a bubbler? Where's there a water fountain? Says he can't find one. A bottle of water and a clean pair of socks. For those who experience homelessness, socks can be disposable items. You wear socks until they wear out, and then you hope you can get another pair. So in 2011, and to this day, we have books to hand out, bottles of water to distribute, and socks to give away. But out of that came a clothing distribution ministry that happens each and every Thursday. From hats to socks to coats to toiletries to sundries to jeans to sport coats to coats and hats. And so we run that each and every Thursday. I got an email from a colleague of mine a year ago. And it was a YouTube video about something called laundry love. Started out in California over a decade ago. So the work that we do of relationships and friendships and caring about people and caring for people and loving one another. And that's our work. That's our ministry. That's what we do. We partner and work cooperatively with community-based organizations. So if someone says or indicates, I'd like to, I want a counselor or therapist, we know who to connect them with. If someone tells us, I've got a criminal background, but I'm really, I got to get to work. I want to move upward in my life. We know who to connect them with. But what we do is who we are. And that's about caring for and about one another. So that work of caring is done around tables and food, primarily at the center. At Laundry Love Racine, it's done around washers and dryers. So what we do, we started a little bit more than a year ago. We offer this every other month. We developed a partnership with the Velvet Touch Laundromat. Kenneth Kim is the owner, over on Lathrop behind Buckets Pub. We take volunteers. We take a bunch of laundry detergent and a boatload of quarters. And we'll do this on Tuesday night from 4 to 8, every other month. And we will reduce the burden on persons who have to make a choice. Aaron had to make a choice one night. He walked in at Laundry Love. He had $30 to his name. $30. He said, what do I do? Put gas in my car? Or do I wash my daughter's clothes so she can have clean clothes to wear to school? That night, he put gas in his car, and she got clean clothes. And 5 times, we've used 13,925 quarters to wash and dry 804 loads of clothes and bedding. So we try to reduce the burden on our sisters and brothers. Just give them a break once in a while. And then the idea is also is that we take a small business owner's slowest night and turn it into his or her busiest night. And so we're at the front end of this Laundry Love, and it's something special. It's just really something special and a lot of fun, and we think that we make a difference with that.
There's a great genesis of that, how that came to be. Who did you find were the volunteers? I mean, what what was their heart? That who'd you find? Was it a surprise who came out and did the first volunteer? Was it, was it
Senior.
from the not? Yeah, was it seniors? Are the volunteers just lonely?
Some may be.
Some
May be. So there are all kinds of volunteer opportunities, from hands-on to working in the kitchen for people who like to do and to be busy, to the laundry love, to the clothing distribution, to sweeping and mopping. But there are opportunities at all times just to sit at the tables or sit in the hallways and have a conversation, make a friend.
Yeah.
What's a typical day like down at the hospitality center?
Are you open every day?
No, currently we are open. We're not open Wednesdays.
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 till 1 in the summer, and then 8 till 2. And then we have a Monday evening meal program every week, and the third Thursday of every month. And part of that is it's a capacity issue. This is volunteer driven. I am the staff. I am management.
Yeah.
All right.
Chief.
Yeah. The
Bottle washer.
administrative assistant, and on it goes. So
If people want to volunteer, how do they pursue that?
it's call Kevin, 414-405-5619, and we will be happy to get you involved and engaged.
What kind of help is needed, on a typical day?
Every day that we show up, I'm often asked, where do your resources come from? From human resources to volunteers, to food, to financial resources? And my answer is God provides. I've never seen anything like it. Going back to, I come from the nonprofit world and the world of strategic planning, best practices, evaluations. Where are we going to be in 5 years, assessments, and all of that. We use the brains God gave us. We work to be competent, effective, and efficient. But at the end of the day, this is about some fish and some bread. And Jesus gives us some fish and some bread and some volunteers and says, feed the hungry, be with my children. I don't mean to oversimplify it, but that's who we are, and that's what we do. So relationships and partnerships, and I'm hesitant to name names, though I will, because I always forget some. All right. But sometimes our refrigerators have food in them more often than not, but every day we are going up and picking up food. We have a great relationship with Piggly Wiggly on Washington, Ralph Malicki's place. What's the new one I knew I was going to? The Festivals, O&H Bakery, Racine County Food Bank. Okay. Individuals will donate creamer and sugar, and then we have to buy certain items, and we have that all worked out. This is a broad umbrella. There is room for all at our table. So we've got 501c3 status under the diocese, but this is intentionally as a very large and strong ecumenical presence and feel to it. And so the volunteers have come from the faith community, from the business community. Johnson Outdoors is catty corner across the street. Once a week, every week, at least one person gives up their lunch hour to come serve lunch to others at the Hospitality Center. So from our friends in the Lutheran faith community to First Presbyterian to Racine Assembly of God to First Baptist Church of Racine, and on and on and on it goes. Yeah. Where do the volunteers come from?
Yeah.
They come down, they hear about the center.
They hear about it. That's the first. I never
They
heard
hear
about
about it.
This is,
And then they come down and they feel it.
yeah,
They
yeah,
see it.
yeah. Yeah.
And then they say, how can I connect?
Yeah.
I've never had. We fly this under the the 501c3 of the diocese because we need a 501c3 status. So as opposed to starting our own and doing
Yep.
that, well, we've already got it.
Yep.
We're the church.
Yep.
I've never had anyone ask me to serve on a board, to be in a position of power, to write a policy, but to a person they said, how can I help? What can I do? It's remarkable. I've seen, the parochial walls just break down from denominations. Great story is St. Luke's Episcopal Church and St. Michael's Episcopal Church over on Erie. All right. Both under the diocese, but they have become so much closer because the hospitality center creates a bridge for individuals and organizations and faith communities to walk across and to meet one another and to work with one another and serve one another. I've just never experienced anything like it. It's magnificent. So people have been attracted, so I invite you to come to the center because there's a feel to it.
Sure.
That no matter how hard I try, on camera or in front of a Kiwanis group, you got to be there. Yeah.
And you can come down there anytime from
So come.
9 to
8 to 1. Yeah.
8 to 1.
Yeah, we serve lunch at 11:30.
Okay.
Just come. Yeah.
What, this day, what are your biggest needs this day? Quarters, food, volunteers?
Present. Somebody to say, hi,
Okay.
my name is.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping to hear.
Tell me about the center.
Yeah.
Gorgeous day outside. What do you think of Packers preseason? Mind if I join you? That is today and always will be the greatest need. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Now, you mentioned in the laundry program that you do it once every 2 months, did you say?
Every other month.
Oh, every.
And I would love to be able to get to the point of every month. That's going to require time, attention, and perhaps some assistance and some networking and some reaching out. Here's the thought. If we can get 12 entities to commit to once a year, and it costs about $1,000 an evening. So entity A says, I'll take January every year, and we'll commit to that 1,000 every January. We'll provide some people to be there also, hands-on, and join our volunteers, and we'll do that every January. And then if someone else or another organization or faith community will say, we'll take February. If I could do 12, we can do this every month.
Now, there are those who utilize the laundry, do they go there too? Or is this something that's done for them or with their participation or?
They bring their own laundry.
Yeah, they bring their own laundry.
They bring their own laundry.
And so, so you need to be able to have transportation to get there,
Yeah.
live in that neighborhood.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The question that I had is a lot of these people actually live over by Halo. How do they get down by you during the daytime when they shut the doors down? They take buses or walk or?
Well, many of the people who come to the center live close to the corner of downtown, corner of 7th and Main. But some walk from the Cove and Halo area, Taylor. They'll walk. Some are fortunate to have bus passes. They'll ride a bus, but some have bicycles. Those are their cars. But many walk a long way every day.
So they have a place to get out of the heat when it's very hot,
Mhm.
like it's been, or or in the winter, you know, when it's so cold.
Mm-hmm.
Remember you said they have to have a place to go, and, you know, a lot of times us guys were gonna say we're gonna have a meeting, let's meet over at Starbucks. But you were telling me, what are the people on the street say now?
We're going down to the center.
What's going down in the
We're
center?
going down to the center.
There's a place that they can communicate with each other.
Mhm.
They can have people to talk to,
Mhm.
you know?
Share their lives with.
Sure.
When I present at congregations or at schools, I'll ask, what happens at coffee hour? What happens in the cafeteria? Well, we get, talk to your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. We eat, we laugh, share our lives. That's what happens. It's just that simple of an idea. But what's not so simple is responding to the overwhelming needs, the amount of hurt and struggle
Yeah.
and disappointment. And so being able to be present is important. Can't fix everything, but we can listen.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah.
We can cry with people. We can pray with people. We can hold somebody's hand. We can hug someone. We can show them they care. There's a story I heard or read or somewhere, and it's Virginia's story, but I think it's a great introduction for the Hospitality Center. Virginia was 17 years old when she went to live with her 15th set of foster parents. On the day they met, Virginia sat in a chair. She folded her hands and looked down in her lap. The foster mother said, "Virginia, are you afraid?" Virginia said, "Kinda. I've been in lots of homes." Foster mother said, "Well, let's hope that it works out for the best this time." Virginia said, "It hurts too much to hope." So if your spirit's ever been crushed,
Yeah.
if your heart has ever been broken,
Yeah.
you have felt it hurts too much to hope. You know, Dan stood out on the corner on the street in front of St. Luke's one day, and he told me, "God lives way up there, and I live way down here. God's too far away to hear me, let alone help me." I was told once my father abused me, my mother left me, my friends abandoned me, and so was God. It hurts too much to hope. Lewis told me he doesn't understand, or did not understand. In fact, it was the last time he ever walked into a church. He said he didn't understand how the same people who passed the offering plates inside the building pass by the poor outside the building. And he said that the church talks too much about hope for the future and does too little to help in the present. Our response, my response, is if we really believe that the Spirit of the living God dwells within each one of us, then we have to believe. We just have to believe that every time we take the time to listen to someone for the first time or again experiences God listening to them. Every time we say to someone in word or action, "I love you," someone for the first time or again hears God say, "I love you." Every time we hold someone's hand, someone feels God holding their hand. That's who we are. That's what we do. Believing that when our hope is in God, it never hurts too much to hope. We help people hope.
There, has been stories and good coverage, I think, in the journal,
Mm-hmm.
about the ministry of the center. But then there's also been some things that have been concerning to people, with the fact that in the winter,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when it was so bitterly cold,
Mm-hmm.
that there had been some controversy or whatever you want to call it, you know, that about having the doors open for people to have some shelter at night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how did that all work out, and what led to that?
Reuben has been a regular at the center from day one. 3 winters ago, late in December, Reuben had been outside all night. He showed up at our door about 6:30 in the morning. He was purple. He was shaking, not shivering. And as Reuben tells the story, he could not feel his feet. We said, well, that just ain't gonna happen. We got pews. Reuben just needed 1 pew. We found a blanket. Come on in. Just come on in. And some others came in. So the overnight shelter story is just like everything else at the center. We grew out of need. We responded to a need. And then 2 winters ago, we served an unduplicated count of 64 persons all winter long. This past winter, an unduplicated count from mid-October through March, end of March, of 110 persons, averaging 25 to 35 a night. Had a family. Had some people sober, some not sober, some on medications, some not on medications. But we opened our doors. Now, Racine has a primary shelter. They do a wonderful job. We applaud their efforts. But they are not positioned to meet all needs, all shelter needs. So at the end of this past shelter season, this year, and we're all volunteer driven. Due to an inadequate facility, we don't have showers, we don't have storage facility. It's all volunteers. We don't have trained staff. We found ourselves overwhelmed, and so we had to say that we are unable to provide that shelter. So we have changed our role from service provider for overnight shelter to advocate. And so every Monday night at 6:30, we have community prayer for a shelter solution for all of God's children. And we are part of the community dialogue and discussion to work so that nobody, if they choose not to be out on the streets, especially in the wintertime, is out on the streets. It just came out of need. And again, that's what we do. We respond to need.
Does how you treat the least of these is how you treat, I mean, there's something that rings true about that.
You betcha.
That, you know,
And standing not only for, but with the poor and the weak and the sick
yeah,
and the lonely.
yeah, yeah.
You know, that's an apologetic. Defend why you're here. I'm going to take that. I'm going to noodle through that one.
Yeah.
But I always think of David, not King David, but David who comes to Hospitality Center.
Yeah.
He stood in the middle of the room one time, a fellowship hall. Said, "You see that person over there? Mm-hmm. He believes in me. And that makes it easier for me to believe that God believes in me."
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's why we're there.
Yeah,
That's my defense today.
yeah,
Or Brad, who said, "This place makes me think that God cares."
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's one thing that the community could do to help meet the need for a shelter, you know, spontaneous shelter, so to speak, that doesn't have some kind of agenda? Is there anything around or any thought of a conglomeration, you know, of people coming together?
That train is down the track a little bit. Don't know how to give you a direct answer on that. I know
Okay.
that there's some conversations with certain community leaders. I was part of those conversations, or that conversation, I should say. I'm part of another conversation, and I know that the Continuum of Care, the consortium of nonprofits that work with the population we've been discussing, they've got some forward movement there.
Oh, good.
So I don't know how to give you that direct answer, what the community could do. I'm of the firm position, that there needs to be a shelter in this town. I'm all about housing first. You know, let's get people in housing. I think that's the way to go. But I know that Rick tonight sleeps in the woods.
Yeah.
So there's a certain number out there. I don't know what that number is. Is it 20 people a night? Is it 30? We average 25 to 35 in the middle of winter. I don't know, but I think that there's a number out there, and that number needs a shelter to go to until the community organizations can help them. Because somebody is going to be evicted from a local shelter here. It's going to happen. There's going to be a rule broken. Where do they go? It's going to be after hours somewhere. I think that there's a need for shelter. Now, there are those who disagree with me, but I'm of the firm opinion that there needs to be. Doesn't have to be a big one.
Now, some years ago, I know there was a program with various faith-based ministries.
The REST program.
The REST program.
Yeah, the group of rotating churches.
Yeah.
And then that was the precursor to Halo, is my
Now,
understanding.
How did that work?
I don't know.
Okay.
What I think that I know is that the big picture was the community took a look at the big picture. And a group of rotating churches with all volunteers, and they had one or two staff at the time, was simply not sustainable.
Okay.
So I think that they took a look at the bigger picture, and out of that came Halo.
Oh, okay.
All right, and they probably looked at needs and how could they best serve and moving people up the ladder and on it goes.
Now,
All we did was resurrect the REST program under a different name with a lot fewer volunteers.
and there also, I think down at the center when we toured through there, doesn't the Racine
Racine Vocational Ministry is housed downstairs at St. Luke's Episcopal Church, yeah.
Okay.
And we work very closely with Jim Schatzman and his staff there. Mm-hmm. But there's a strong theological component to this hospitality center, and that's about God meets us where we're at.
Yeah.
God just meets us where we're at. And so the hospitality center's part is influenced out of my story. Because within a few weeks now, I'm approaching 30 years of sobriety. And I remember when I didn't want to get drunk, but I didn't want to stay sober. And people, and I mean I burn bridges. But there were some people that just kept caring about me. They just kept loving me. They just wouldn't let go. And they just met me where I was at. I never forgot that.
Well, that's the gospel. I mean, he doesn't call bad men to become good or good men to become better. It takes dead men, makes them alive. If we try to get people to fix themselves up and come to the gospel, that's not it.
And I'm asked all
That's
the
not it.
time, what are you doing to help those people become better people, to become employable people, to pick themselves up by the bootstraps? We meet people where they're at. We care about people. We love people. We enter into a relationship with people. That's what we do. And then watch God move.
Mhm.
And we'll help. We'll do all those things, all in the fullness of time. But I remember, it was 30 years ago now, I was in bad shape. I just wanted to know that someone cared, because I didn't. The rest will happen in the fullness of time.
It was mercy and grace.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that there isn't, you know, you do it unto the least of these, and yet we're all the least of these. And yet, because we are made in the image of God, you know, we have infinite worth, no matter what the strata might be. You know, we all have infinite worth and are worth the investment
Mm-hmm.
of our time and energies and compassion and love that we can show them.
Thank you for your interest. I thank you for your prayers. And I ask you to come visit the people of the Hospitality Center.